back to Muse on the Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us again on another episode here on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow everything we do here on YouTube, as well as all our social media, which you can find in the caption down below. And absolutely, you have to join the Patreon because that's where all the hardcore Muse on the Mic peeps are. We're going to have to come up with a fun name for our peeps one day. But that's where all the spicy episodes come. And if you're looking for more Muse on the Mic or you want to binge on any of our previous episodes and content, absolutely everything's on the Patreon. All the spicy, not safe for work shit lands over there. Riley, what are we getting into today?
Today we're jumping into a Gary Vee video. It's a short video, so I want you guys to watch it with us, and we're going to just get into discussion about it. I'm sorry. It's a little bit more of an entrepreneurial journey we're going to go on today, or a topic that he introduces to us. So let's watch the video, and we'll catch up with you after.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Figure out which employee makes the other employees miserable. I don't give a shit if it's your number one salesperson, your best fucking developer, or your co-founder. Cancer spreads. With cancer and politics comes lack of speed. Your company will get much slower because people are sitting around debating how miserable they are or worried to have meetings with other individuals. Your company will get slow in a world where the speed of product output, features, and how you interact with your customers has never been greater. So I implore a tech-centric, financial-centric, type A room like this to go home and get really in tune with their fucking feelings. In my company, the number 2 person is not the CFO or the CEO. The number 2 person after me is Claude Silver. She is the Chief Heart Officer. She's the head of HR, call it what you want. It is no question the biggest variable to our success. It is never, and I mean ever, been more important for you to care about the internal feelings, culture. Let me tell you how you do not build culture. You do not build culture by having free snacks in your cafeteria, by having a foosball table or open seating. You build culture by actually talking to people one by one and understanding what they care about. And what you will learn is some people want money, and some people want time with their family, and some people want title, and some people want creativity. How many people are the CEO of their company? It is your job to know every single one of those things about every single person every single day. Because 23-year-old Sally at 27 wants different shit. 31-year-old Charlie at 34 wants different shit. It is time that this ecosystem starts paying attention to the human elements that will drive our businesses to the next level. This is a conversation we are not having, and it is the conversation in the next decade.
Wow, I don't know what you thought about that video, Em, but I feel like that really hits home, especially when relating it to Muse, because we deal with so many different personalities and so many people, all female. So that even changes the dynamic a bit as well. But having that toxic energy, which we have certainly had over the years, and it can be extremely detrimental to our staff room at the end of the day. And I mean, I can think of many examples, as I'm sure you can, but what a good point he made.
It's true that, like, from the minute I saw that, it was like so relatable. It's funny because I find with us inside the spa, it's so obvious right away when we have someone that's just not a good fit. And sometimes it's something we notice right away. Sometimes it's something front desk brings to our attention from like their first shift. And if they make it past that, I give it 4 shifts before the staff is in uproar, because our girls are not having it. They love the peaceful dynamic. They love the comfort, the friendship, the fact that everybody trusts each other. I mean, we've never been a spa that requires lockers because nobody touches anybody else's shit. They don't have to worry about someone stealing from their stuff, or like the cattiness or any like competitive nonsense amongst each other. So if someone all of a sudden comes in and it's causing any kind of dysfunction, it's just like it's a blip in the otherwise like homeostasis that we have going into our environment. And I always joke that it's kind of like camp. Like our girls have team spirit. They definitely want the team to win. They support each other like teammates. And if that spirit is suddenly shifted to like high school drama, especially because it's all women, they're like, absolutely not. They will come to us right away and be like, look, y'all can keep her, but I won't work with her.
Right.
And that goes for front desk too. I find it's managers don't necessarily work with each other, so they wouldn't
Mhm.
know how each other's working at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, right? Because they wouldn't
Mhm.
be there to see it. They just shift change. But it's the other staff that'll be like, I don't know who's on front desk right now, but this ain't the flex you guys think it is, or she's not doing what she's supposed to, or where did she work before? What is this?
Mhm.
All kinds of questions like that. And I try sometimes to give a bit of grace, like especially if a girl's come from another spa. She might have come from a really catty competitive environment. She might never have worked somewhere where people are actually on each other's like side or something like that. And it can almost be hard to wrap your brain around. Like, what do you mean I could just leave my wallet here? This is
Right.
madness, right? It's
Mhm.
like, what? What if I have a great day and then someone can walk away with my thousands of dollars? Like, it seems crazy to them. To me, it's how I would never want it any different, that it's so comfortable. um I never had to lock up my staff working. I always worked with people that I knew and loved, and anytime there was a new girl, it was like join the team. And I think
Mhm.
people kind of end up where they fit in best anyway. So if they thrive more on that kind of tension, or just used to a more catty environment, then maybe Muse isn't the place for you,
Mhm. No, for sure.
you know?
And I think, I mean, sometimes it's really blatantly obvious, like you said, where it's all of a sudden an uproar of the manager or the new girl or something happened. But sometimes there's a trickle effect to it that it takes some time. And I think, like you said, it's not always immediate.
Right.
Oftentimes it's conversations we'll have with the girl, and try to work with her and give her a chance, because I think everyone deserves a second chance.
For
But
sure.
eventually the staff want action. And I know from our perspective, sometimes more me than you, I look at it um, too much so from a financial lens of like, well, she's busy or clients love her. We can't lose her. And you're always like, no, we can lose her, because if not, what is going to happen? And every time, you've been right that it's really becomes too toxic, that it taints the whole team. They get frustrated with us for lack of action. But yeah, sometimes easier said than done to let someone go.
It's true. I think there's something to be said. I mean, Gary Vee kind of talks about it. He uses the word like a cancer in the group. Um, but in essence, there's also responsibility. Like the fish rots from the head down. And if I may get a little personal confession here, there was a time during kind of between the coalition and the haters really attacking us, which we dragged out in minor details in our first 6 episodes, because we could dive into all of those a lot deeper. Up until the staff meeting where we told everybody about Vaughn, and the staff rebelled against us.
Mhm.
Um, in between those kind of tumultuous times, there was a time that I wondered if I was the cancer, if I was the toxic piece, because so much of that rebellion always came back and fired at me. That I wondered, not that it was something we ever discussed or would ever want for ourselves or anything, to have one of us kind of behind the scenes and one of us,
Mhm.
dealing with the humans. There wasn't a time of like kind of dark contemplation on my end, where I really wondered, would it be better for the business if Emily wasn't part of the face, and if I just took more, not a backseat in terms of workload, but backseat in terms of like being in people's faces, or being the one that they talk to if communication is hard with me or something. I think
Mhm.
our staff has always been lucky that there's two of us.
Yep.
I always worked for singular individuals. And if you don't like the boss, or the boss doesn't like you, or you don't like what they have to say, tough titties. Whereas they get a choice with us on who they prefer to communicate with. And sometimes on various topics, that's different,
Mhm.
right? They might talk to you about the schedule more, but they might talk to me about their feelings more, or vice
Right.
versa, right? But there was definitely a time where I had to really kind of take a lens to myself and be like, would the overall company's success be better without this Emily conflict that always seems to come about, or this like anti-Emily sentiment, that really our haters started,
Yeah.
and people just broken telephone kind of have dragged on, sometimes even to present day. So it was not easy to have those thoughts, I will say. And in hindsight, I'm glad I never stepped back. I think I'm a vital piece to the machine.
You
Um,
are. And I mean, I wouldn't have let you, so
I know
let's
you wouldn't have let me,
make mention
but
of that.
it was tough. Like I had to have that like honest,
Yeah.
like am I the drama? Am I the problem? Like
Mhm.
cue that little TikTok sound. Am I the drama? I was the drama. Like I was the problem. Where it just seemed like it was always Emily did this or Emily's, a bitch or Emily's the problem and blah blah blah. And I thought, man, am I like gonna sink my own ship by some sort of like ego or something holding me to this?
Mhm.
Like, no, I'm always going to be the one who answers all the emails, or I'm going to be the one who posts on the forums and confronts the haters, or like, am I gonna? And I thought, fuck, maybe I should shut up and sit back sometimes,
Yeah.
and maybe that should be a bigger decision. And on my own, I decided, no, I have a place and a position here, and I'm valued and needed, and it's my baby, god damn it. But at the same time, had I come to either a different conclusion or was still in this like purgatory of not being able to decide, I know I absolutely would have come to you and said, Ryan, what do you think about this? Because I'm freaking out right now.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if I'm the big drag, and would Muse in general, or would we be in a better place if I wasn't such a conflicting thing, just this entity that seems to come up here and there. Not easy conversations to have with oneself. I'll tell you
Yeah,
that.
I can
But
imagine.
there was
I
definitely
actually
times.
never realized it was to that extent even. I mean, I remember those periods of time, certainly, but yeah, I mean, we couldn't do it without you, so it's
I
not an
love you.
option. But
I
I think
agree.
what
I
else
feel like
he
my
said, well, we wouldn't. You are Muse. But I think what else he said about having these personal relationships with your staff, it's been
right.
hard lessons for us at times because I think there's times like in the beginning, again, saying going back, we were always there. Um,
Yeah.
we had a lot of personal relationships with these girls. And I think our team, because it was such a fantastic team, probably was that way because of our influence and because of our relationship with them. I do find there's a struggle um, when you employ so many people and in a place where there is turnover. I can't say it's
Hmm.
constant, but I mean it's always there. So it's hard to like really invest time in people. I mean, they might be gone before you even get into the spa. Like it does
Right.
happen. That's the reality of the industry. So at times it can be really challenging to have those personal relationships, and I think even our age difference. Um, and that sounds weird because I think you can work for a boss that's substantially older than you, and that can
Hmm.
be normal. But I don't know why. I find there is a really big barrier between us at times based on our age.
I agree. I agree with that. And it's not that other generations prior to us, I'm sure our parents and grandparents could have been like, oh, I remember I had one old geezer as a boss and he couldn't relate on anything. But I feel like generational shifts and generational changes seem to happen more and quicker. I don't know the actual like breakdown of what birthdays off by heart are, like boomers, millennials, Gen X, Gen Z, whatever. But it just seems like we kind of went millennial, Gen Z, and then Gen Alpha, which is the up and comings. Your kids and stuff are gonna be alphas, and like it's like so fast. Like our
Mhm.
parents were just boomers. They just had to deal with boomers, and that's it. Like why all
Right.
this change? But throw in the technology speed of change now and how that has just shifted global society, local societies, all of the different dynamics of like interpersonals. It can be hard to keep up. It can be hard to feel relevant. It can be hard to stay relevant. And yet, like it's there's so many aspects that are different. Like I remember being embarrassed by my parents as when I was a kid, but nowadays, like Jay-Z is someone's dad.
Right.
Snoop is a dad. Like, how do you be like, my dad's lame? Like, you might think so, but your dad's a superstar and he sets the trends on what
Yeah.
Gen Alpha even thinks is cool now. So,
Yeah.
y'all are rocking TikTok dances to his music. So, he's not the old geezer that you'd be like, oh, dad, get in the house. Dude, you're so
Right.
embarrassing. Like, it's just so many of those little things have shifted. And yet, I watch a lot of like current stuff where you and I consume different kinds of media. I feel like I try to stay on top of even lingo trends, and before I know it, I'm saying something and I sound like a boomer. It's ridiculous. And those relatability things become a bit of a challenge. I don't agree with soft quitting. I don't agree with how millennials navigate. I don't need this job anymore. And some of those I was raised with you know, our parents and our grandparents who were like coming from like war times where you work a job till you're 65 and you go every day and you may hate your boss with tough titties and like you just
Mhm.
grind and buckle through. And we're now in an era where nobody stays a job they hate. Why would they? There's no reason to, right?
Mhm.
But to me, that shouldn't be at the sacrifice of professional etiquette, process,
Right.
2 weeks notice, simple shit, have a cover letter. If I say send a resume, actually send your resume. There are job applicants where I'm like, great, can you tell us about yourself and a resume and some photos? And they just send like an ass pic. I'm like, what?
Or a Snapchat picture where I'm like, can I see your real
Dog,
identity? Not with a dog face.
the dog face. It's hilarious and strange to me. And yet I constantly try to remind myself that like we are on that like cusp generation where we were taught those old school things and we were the first ones to rebel against it. I mean, we are both entrepreneurs in an industry that makes no sense on why we're here based on our upbringing. And and I think people expected vanilla and like, the buy the book thing. And yet we can look at so many of our peers that are equally entrepreneurs and have moved into like tech fame and YouTubers and things that weren't even a job before.
Right.
And I mean, you could be a makeup artist who's never worked on a human, just teach makeup on YouTube. It's wild to me.
Yeah.
What happened to like free labor until you build a portfolio and get your first like $10 paying job before you make
Right.
it to the magazines? Magazines aren't even a thing for a makeup artist anymore. So like just the whole dynamic of all these things has changed and it can be difficult to keep up. But I love what Gary said about his HR department. And God, no matter how big we ever get, I hope we don't ever need an HR department. But our manager Kit has volunteered to be the chief heart officer, of course, because she's all
Really?
heart. She's all heart, and I know she thinks she can solve anything and everything that has to do with the feelings, or the culture within the company and things like that. But technology and especially the pandemic had moments where we were really disconnected and really removed in that way. And I found it a little bit hard to kind of come back. And we could talk about some of my struggles in a minute, but just the tech aspect, like we can do training on Zoom nowadays. We can have staff meetings on Zoom nowadays. We have
Mhm.
business meetings with other people on Zoom nowadays. It's not so much meet us at our office or,
Yeah.
we'll meet at the Firkin,
Mhm.
things like that, like we used to. But to maintain those personal relationships is still so vital. And we've seen definitely different phases of that through Muse
Yeah.
and how it affects business.
Yeah. No, it really does.
Let me ask you this, like, how did you feel when we finally got back to work after pandemic? Like, aside from fuck, I have to wear a mask in my own company, but like being with people face to face again, having to
Um,
reconnect with girls that we'd hired that you'd never met in person, like stuff like that.
I don't think I had any like reservation about it or anxiety about it. I was
Good.
so happy to be back. I remember visiting Muse when it was closed. I literally do. I remember taking selfies in the spa and there's no one in it. Um, no, I was just thrilled to be back. There was no hesitation there.
Sorry.
But I think building those relationships is different because now we have mass amount of girls that, it's catching up with girls. How did you survive COVID and lockdown? And like maybe they lost someone. There was a lot of personal relationships to catch up on. So in that sense, it was a little bit challenging and like new
For
faces coming
sure.
in and, just getting back to routines.
It's true. Um, can we tell a fun story
Okay.
of one of your visits to the spa when it was closed?
Oh, the bird. Like this has to be the story.
So all of a sudden, I forget why you even went by. There was a good reason why you were there. It was like to grab like checks or some legitimate reason. And I just like calling me or messaging me or something and sending me photos and like you were never gonna guess what just happened. I was talking about. And you explained to me that you basically walked in and there was like tufts of like feathers and bird shit all over the fucking spa. Like freaked out when you found the body because some bird somehow got in the building, I think through the dryer exhaust or something, um, that literally got into the building, but like clearly got locked in there. And because we were locked down for months, This poor thing
The
just
poor soul.
died.
The poor soul lost his life in the lobby, but I don't think that's where his journey began. Um, but it was terrifying because when I first walked in, I wasn't sure if we were robbed. Like, I don't want to say robbed because there's nothing there to take other than like massage tables. Um, but like a lamp was over, like the place looked like it had been messed with. And then I'm starting to see like white and feathers. I mean, the white was poop. There was poop everywhere. So the bird got in and kind of his last days were spent in the lobby, flying around in circles, I'm sure, knocking over lamps. And I knew there was a dead bird in the building. And I don't know why that terrifies me so much, but I was freaked out. I was like, or it's
Me
alive
too.
and about to die. Either way, I didn't want to see it. Eventually, I found his poor little body, and I ended up getting a neighboring mechanic to come get him because I couldn't go near it. But oh, it was terrible. How did we get into the dead bird?
I didn't go by the spa during lockdown. And of course my brain was like, I'm such a squirrel fucking mind sometimes. Just ADD kicks in. And I'm like, wait, the bird. This shit was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious. I was howling. You were so scared, and I was just laughing at you the whole time.
Oh, it was terrifying.
Funniest story I've heard in a long while. Uh, Needless to say, getting back to biz was a completely different experience for me than it was. Birds aside, bird poop and feather tufts aside, getting back to the spa was a totally different experience for me. I suffered a back injury right before lockdown and pandemic hit, and lost my mobility. And then through pandemic, just packed on weight because I couldn't do very much and there wasn't much to do. So we both drank a lot. I definitely ate a ton. And it changed my life in many ways. Not all for the good, but it's been a long recovery, very costly recovery, and process to kind of get back. And I have been trying to get to the spa a little bit more often. And I absolutely know that my presence is needed, which is so contrasting to what we just talked about and how I didn't know if I like really had a place
Yeah.
at certain times during these struggles. Um, and I sometimes get a little defensive even when I'm told that I need to be there more often. It makes me upset because I wish I could be. And mobility issues, anyone who knows of chronic pain and mobility issues, it's hard and it's emotional and you feel like you let people down a lot. Um, but I am very aware of like my Emily knowledge, and I miss training with you when we'd look ridiculous together, acting everything out. Although I loved when you were the boy and I was the girl. It's like I get to like feel you up, do naughty shit. But they
We
kind of
used to use
miss
the
those
phone.
things. The phone, a water bottle, a rolled up towel, or the wooden penis. You Frank, and I'm gonna be like Emily, and this is what we're gonna do. But like I miss those things. It was fun for our staff. I'm sure just watching training. Imagine being a new employee. Like I'm going for training today, and then you watch your two bosses just like wrangle around on the fucking desk on a massage table together, making titty jokes and penis puns everywhere. Um, but that's like the joy of it all, right? And like where else can you get that experience except working in Muse? And just the
It's
little
true.
conversations, my storytelling, I know always gets the girls giggling, but they feel more connected. And I think at times when I am feeling misunderstood, it is a lot easier to kind of push through those moments when I am more present at the spa and people can get to know me a little bit more. Or if you are nervous to talk to me about something, just because I'm kind of loud and outgoing, to know that I can have a quiet conversation in the office like a normal person.
Right.
Like, talk to me. Like, let's figure it out. I don't always have to be so loud and so whatever. Um, but even like I like to throw in my little penis jokes when I need to break the ice or reduce tension or we might talk about a heavy subject. I don't mind talking about my personal experiences with the girls when they had a rough client or a medical challenge that comes up for all girls that work in the sex industry or some of the stories get gory. I'm like, well, let me tell you about the one time where my vagina decided this was the day. Like you get into it, and it does make a difference. It does build that healthy culture within the staff. What I rebel against is I don't want it to feel like everything would crumble if suddenly I wasn't there. Like,
Hmm.
knock wood, God forbid, either of us die tomorrow. I should hope that Muse doesn't go and just goes with it. Like, it should be fine in
Right.
theory. Um, and in odd ways, the pandemic challenged all of us to learn other ways to accomplish things. Who knew that remote school or Zoom meetings would even be a thing? Who
Hmm.
knew you could take a whole corporate meeting wearing your pajamas on the bottom? Like, that was a revolution for society. And look how many people are just resistant to go back to the office even still now, right?
Yeah.
Because why would you ever want to put pants back on again? Your dry cleaning bill drops that much. Fuck it. Like,
Yeah.
we survived that way on Fridays for our team meeting before. Why can't we just keep doing that? Why must I be back in a cubicle? Like, I get it. And I get, the hell for parents that was online learning, but it opened up like every university to offer online programs.
Right.
So maybe that sucked for elementary kids, but suddenly as an adult learner, you can go back and not have to go to school and feel awkward. Like, you could do it in the comfort of your pajamas. Like,
Hmm.
there is the pros and cons to all of it. I do love that at any time I can hop on Zoom and work through something with one of the girls, or if we wanted to have a managers meeting that way, we can do it. It's fine. It works. Everybody's capable and easy. We all have the app on our phone. Um, but like, I feel guilty sometimes that I'm not there as much as I'd like to be. I've moved a little further from the spa, so it's longer and harder and more costly to get there 'cause I don't drive, so Uber.
Hmm.
Um, but like, I then want to maximize it. I want to make the most of it, and not every work week works in a way where you can jam all your work into one day. And sometimes you come in with the best of intentions, thinking we're going to hammer off like 19 things. You and I get talking, the giggles continue. We have wine at lunch. We get 2 things done. Like,
Yeah.
why did I spend $160 on an Uber for this shit? It's just
Yeah.
crazy. I love you. We could have met in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Let's just do lunch, right? Like, it's
Yeah.
it's all of those things combined, and I try not to make myself feel guilty about it. I try to continually focus, obviously, on my recovery goals, and with anything, diet, exercise, physiotherapy, motivation goes through phases. You take
Hmm.
one step forward, knocks you 2 steps back. Recently, about a couple months ago, I had this weird nerve pinching thing all of a sudden for 2 weeks that took me out. Like, shit just happens with injuries and chronic pain and blah, getting old. I've
Stop.
never felt more
I
like I'm
can
getting old.
understand.
But I mean, it's life, right? And the older we get, more things are going to come up. And we cover for each other. And I hope the staff will always understand that life happens. And, I do wonder though, I'm like, did you ever feel guilty when you were on mat leave?
No.
See, no. So why am I saying myself with worry and guilt?
You know what, though? I think it was just probably different in the aspect from the girls' perspective. I mean, I didn't work at all during that time, really. Like,
Right.
I don't think I dealt with my phone or anything, but I think there was a date, right? If memory
Yeah.
serves, I was not there for 3 months. Um, so they probably knew, okay, Riley's gone for 3 months. And,
Yeah.
that date came and I came back to some capacity. I'm sure it was like less at the beginning. Um,
Definitely.
but maybe in your situation, it's a bit different that there's just no end date, although you have been more present. And I mean, the thing is, you're
I
working all
try.
the time. And I mean, God knows, especially now with social media and the pod and everything online, like she's the one, guys. So she's busy. Fingers.
My workload online has like tripled since starting the podcast.
Right.
And the irony is like, in some ways, I love the social aspect. I love chit chatting with
Mhm.
people. I love helping people in DMs. I hate the like, again, the guilt and obligation of fuck, I gotta post shit. What am I gonna tweet today? Oh my God, I'm out of TikTok ideas. Like, and those are the times I feel old. I feel dusty. Like, somebody send me an idea because I'm not dancing on TikTok. I love to dance and I'm a great dancer, but you gotta pay for that. It's not so many people see for free on TikTok. But like, it's hard to stay like relevant and come up with the ideas, but also the consistency. I think anyone who's a content creator, whether it's OnlyFans, whether it's a YouTube or gamer, I'm sure people go through weeks where they don't want to make a single video because they're like, no, I just fuck, I don't care. Like, you just get frustrated with it. And what? There's one other time where I will take full responsibility on. I wouldn't say quite it was a cancerous moment, but it was definitely me rebelling a little bit against my Emily duties. Was when I started traveling a lot. I changed the way I was managing my own duties and my time. Part of that was because I just ended an engagement and was ready to rediscover myself a little bit and put my feet down into like new roots and kind of just reestablish who I am as a person. And I didn't want to be Emily all the time. It suddenly became kind of an ick. And the thought of it every single day was just getting to my mental health, which to me was weird. I spent 20 some odd years being Emily.
Mm-hmm.
Why all of a sudden was I like, don't call me that? And instead of consistently staying on Wi-Fi and still tweeting 6 times a day and still answering all the emails, I put an auto reply on the email. I would try to pass you my Twitter if you would take it or not. That was a variable. Because at certain times you had babies, and now you're like, I can't deal with Twitter right now. I'm breastfeeding.
Right.
And I was like, fair, but fair, but also affected business for sure. Sorry. And I did notice that clients got too uncomfortable with emailing in and just getting an auto reply telling them to call the spa or I'm away. Because I was traveling a lot. At least once a month, I was away for at least a week at a time, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And so I was gone a lot and I left those responsibilities a little bit to the wayside. And it did affect business. It did affect flow. Definitely affected like my routines, my morning routines, all those kind of things. And yet when I picked back up Twitter, I was like, oh, I have ideas again. I'm inspired. I can post about stuff. Like you do get a little like kind of brain dead about it or almost like nose blind to it where you're like, oh, it's the same thing all the time. You and I have even traded once in a while, but like you take the Instagram or let's switch Twitter for IG because I just don't know. I just don't know right now.
It just feels stale.
I got no captions. I can't think of a new hashtag if your life depended on it. Like I just you're bored, you get a little stagnant. And I'll say, I hope our staff understands that we too are human, and so we have things that go on in our lives and big life changes, big transitions. They affect us as women, as people, as individuals, and that obviously would have some sort of trickle effect into not just business, but our alter egos too, because at the end of the day, we are just one person each.
Well, you're right. I think that's when with the alter ego, you say like, I don't want to be Riley anymore today, or Emily in your case, like you just want to tap out from that. And when you're saying it, this completely side topic, talk about ADHD brain. I was thinking it's funny with that name, as much as I love and I'm proud to be Riley. Depending on who calls me Riley,
facts.
It can be very different. Why is that? Like the psychology, I kind of get, but it's like, you can call me Riley anytime you like. But if, I don't want to name names, certain people call me Riley, I'd be like that's fair. Like, who the fuck do you think you're talking to?
It's true. My mind just went racing on that because there's so many things about that. Nothing bothers me more when I'm talking to a new man and I finally tell him about my life and he thinks it's fucking funny to make some stupid joke about how he wants a massage from Emily one day. And immediately I'm like, we're done. This like block, delete, we're finished. I'm ghosting you. It's over. Like nothing makes me want to throw up more than someone either making flirty, I'll give you a massage, or when do you give me a massage jokes, or calling me Emily in an inappropriate. I've never granted you that permission. If you don't know me through business, you don't get to call me that. It just makes me nauseous. At the same time, we had an employee once.
I was just going to say this.
Fucking audacity. And the absolute audacity. I think she pulled it with both of us, but I distinctly remember it with me when she was not pleased with an answer. And there needs to be a bigger word than audacity. Had the cojones to call me by my real first name as if that was appropriate. And it was like, listen, and I was like, excuse you? Hell no. Like, I respect you and your privacy by addressing you by your work name, and that's within the context of our relationship. If I see you at the mall and you're with your man or your friends or your brother and I go, hey, Julie, and that's your real name, that's because I respect you and we will always keep it 100 that way. And I will never waver. I'm good enough to remember everybody's real names all the time. I take pride in that. I could forget a person's name that I've seen at a party like 15 times ago. I don't even know that guy's name. But you ask me someone's real name when their license renewal shows up in the mail, and I'm like, oh, that's so and so. Like I really put in that effort. And so do not disrespect me by addressing me in my own like company building in the spa and call me by my real fucking name. How dare you? I was livid. And I will never forget it.
So it's so interesting how just the names, context, who it's coming from can provoke like real emotions.
Real reactions. That was audacious. I don't know where she got it in her head to do that, and she never did it again. Like, what the fuck?
Well, it's like us calling our staff by their first name when they're in trouble, right? Or by their real name, I should say. It's like it's like being a parent, like
Don't
going
middle
at
name
them with
me.
their first and middle.
It's not the way the chain of command works. And it's such a respect thing because I would never disrespect them by doing that. Inside the spa, I don't care who's within earshot. You never know who's within earshot. I don't know if you even told the other girls you're working with that day your real name. I mean, most girls now add each other on Facebook, but I would never assume so. And so, if you go by Chantel as your work name, I will always address you that way in a professional manner. And we deserve the same respect back. But at the same time, I do remember at our very first everything to do with sex show at the standing at the booth, and my parents showed up because they were troopers and wanted to participate and support. And they were like, "Hi, Emily. Hi, Riley." And I was like, "Oh my God." That's horrific. Appropriate. I get that they respected the difference. I mean, no difference if, like, I'm sure at a concert, well, Eminem's mom is probably a bad example, but someone could be like, I'm gonna call you Eminem because you're at work, right?
Right.
But when he goes home, he's Matthew or Marshall or whatever the fuck his name is. It's like there's a difference here. No, you're wrong. Don't call me Jay-Z if you're saying vows. Like there's a difference. And I think it's a matter of respect and just the way you would say, hi, Mr. So-and-so, or, out of respect for a teacher or, a parent at an event or like anything like that, you would want to address your elders the right way. We have a decorum. And to go against that is so strange and can be so disrespectful or almost fearful because of the privacy thing. It would freak me out if someone in Twitter would ever call me like, you don't get to call me my real name if you know me through business. And if I know you in my personal life, you do not get to call me Emily. Let's leave it the fuck at that. You kill your own sex life very quickly. You shoot yourself in the penis. If you call me Emily when we're naked, I will be very angry. It'll cost you every blowjob you're ever gonna get. Screwed. It's over now. Amazing how Gary Vee just inspired this whole conversation, but
I was gonna say this is a mixed bag here because we've kind of gone like all directions.
But it all bleeds into the culture, right? I think the fact that we do respect each other and each other's identities and privacy needs is part of the unique culture of sex work and must happen with agencies. It must happen in strip clubs and all of those things too. And I try to give a little bit of grace to clients that may not know decorum. If you're brand new, you might not know. You can Google and find all kinds of things on people, but there is a time and a place for everything. And our dual aliases help us breed a healthy culture that supports that kind of privacy inside the spa, throughout the company, for our managers, everybody. That's important. I think that was a good one. I love me some Gary Vee.
Me too.
He
I watch him all the time.
It's fabulous. Yeah. If I was just saying, but just before we started recording, I was saying to Riley that if he ever comes to Toronto or Buffalo or Ottawa or someone like nearby, get us tickets to go see him because I would love to go see him.
Yeah.
Jens can treat us, spend, a little night in a hotel and dinner, some cocktails, and drive the fuck back home. I think it'd be so inspiring and so fun. I hope he tours soon. It'd be great. So anyone not following Gary Vee, make sure you follow him on social media too, because he's awesome. Yeah. Well, anything else to add? Let's wrap it up.
I think we can wrap it up there.
That was a good one. I like it. Life as entrepreneurs in the sex biz. It's weird. It's weird and it's awesome. Make sure you guys like this video. Thank you for watching to the end. Subscribe to the channel. Join us on the Patreon. Follow us on social media. You'll find all in the caption below. and we'll see you next time on Muse on the Mic.
Hi, guys.